And so for those listening today, everyone might think, hey, concierge medicine, that's only for the rich. I have no, funds for that idea. Here's the thing. I think a lot of concierge medicine and functional medicine is way more attainable than we think. Welcome to the Fusionary Health Podcast. It's your host, Dr. Shivani Gupta, and I have a special guest in store for you today. I have Susan Greeley. She's an incredible health coach. She's an RD dietitian. She has this incredible background in helping us all build the health that we deserve. And what I love is she's doing this at scale. She's impacting thousands of lives with this practice that she's built. And I'm so excited to share with you today the power of working with health coaching when we're on our health journey and how she has built this into a unique model of medicine that I think is so symbiotic and beautiful. So welcome, Susan.
Thank you, Shivani. That was an amazing introduction. Oh. And I really appreciate that shout out. I have to point out that without a team, you can't build anything, so it's the teamwork. I work as, and to introduce myself a little further, Susan Greeley, and I am the Senior Vice President and National Director of Wellness Services at Castle Connolly Private Health Partners. We are a concierge medicine organization where we partner with physicians and deliver healthcare that is in this membership model, a concierge model, and it's very collaborative with the physicians. And as you mentioned, I run the wellness program that focuses on personalized and non-prescriptive health coaching. I know we're going to talk in a lot more detail about it. Thank you for mentioning the power of that to impact lives, and we do impact thousands and thousands of lives. We have members all over the country, and I'm honored to be here.
Thank you. Thanks for coming. So let's kick off with what led you to doing what you do now, because it's always interesting to learn what's that backstory behind what led someone to this career path that they're on.
I love that question. And I think I have different answers each and every time somebody asks me that, because we have so many chapters in our lives, don't we, that, drive us down certain paths. And so early on, let's say even back to high school, I was always focused on nutrition and health. And that was a big part of my upbringing, to be honest. So then I studied in undergraduate. I was actually a dietetics major, which really is not common, combined with German. And I had lived abroad in Germany as an exchange student, and I studied there, and I've ended up living there for 8 years of my life. So that really formed a lot of my habits as far as lifestyle and all that. But how I then, ended up here where I am today is more the fact that I did a master's in nutrition communication, and at that point at Tufts University in Boston, and I saw myself doing larger scale communications. I saw myself impacting people at a much greater level than the one-on-one, dietetic counseling that is still true to my heart. And I love working with people one-on-one and individuals and impacting, their lives positively. However, I always knew that I would do, quote unquote, bigger things. And I still intend to. And scaling this, as you mentioned, is a real goal and drive and passion of mine, because we're in unusual times. We have to admit that, from, the health of the population, where things are with their healthcare environment. And consumers are getting very, very savvy as far as their own personal health. I say now that the word health span is a household word. I love that. And, I truly believe that we need to work towards helping people live better daily for as long as we're here.
Absolutely. So my first question then is, you're an RD, you studied to become a dietitian. What out of that knowledge do you use now, if any, or did you learn that and have such a deep understanding, but you've really pivoted and have a different vantage point on how you approach health?
All of that. Okay, that's a great question. I have examples of how I still use my nutrition background every single day, because there's not a single person who doesn't have, dietary needs, questions. We all eat multiple times a day. So yesterday I was in my executive team meeting, and I like to give this example, and we were talking about obviously various topics and all of our physicians. So we are partnered with over 70 physicians, our company. And our physicians reach out to me separately for their own personal, like, dietetic questions. Isn't that awesome?
It's awesome.
Yeah, it is. It makes essentially the in-house dietitian, go-to dietitian nutrition expert, which is really cool. So that's kind of on that personal level. And then even in managing this team of health coaches. So I started out doing all of the coaching myself and very quickly realized to scale anything, you cannot be it all and do it alone. Yeah. Same with the physicians. And so what we build is this true collaborative approach to health, where we have the physicians, of course, doing what they do best and love, and that's direct patient care. And we include the health coaching to help it be very collaborative and to create that extension of this high quality care so that people can then have the ongoing support. So in any case, we scaled this program. I've over the years hired more health coaches, essentially like a new health coach every year, and they work full time.
Nice.
So they continue to do the coaching, and I manage more of the greater programmatic, direction and strategy and where we're taking this, including the incorporation of technology, which you can't scale anything these days without the right type of technology involved as well. So it's really fun.
That's really cool. So let's take it back a second. So there are doctors and practitioners all over the United States, and many of us who go to the doctor see that the doctor's pretty busy, especially when we talk about primary care. And so I got to hang out with you at a conference in New York just a few weeks ago, and I got to meet some of your concierge medicine doctors. And it was so cool just to have lunch with them and hear their experience. And their point was like, look, I went into medicine to take care of people, to really hear what's happening with them, and then figure out how I can support them to be healthy, whether it's disease management towards health or just they want to optimize. And so some of those doctors who I met were like, this has been an incredible journey because now I have the time. I have a patient practice that is insurance-based, but I'm really also focused on this concierge medicine piece. And so for those listening today, everyone might think, hey, concierge medicine, that's only for the rich. I have no, funds for that idea. Here's the thing. I think a lot of concierge medicine and functional medicine is way more attainable than we think. Recently, I started going through my own big health journey. Every other year, there's always something that I have to dig into. And I thought today, it's like going on vacation. I choose to vacation less. And I put a lot of funds into my health because if I don't, I know the level of long-term disease that I build. And that's just how I look at how I budget within my household, which is, I don't refurnish my home a lot. I don't vacation a lot. But you know what I do? I really triple down on my health. And so these concierge medicine docs, the point they were making was like, look, I help less people, but I really help them. And so will you speak into a little bit about your experience of this company that you are working with, helping doctors become concierge medicine doctors? Because that's a key piece of then that same concierge medicine doc who's saying, okay, I get to help people. Well, I'm going to help them, but we're going to then talk about the health coaching piece to that.
Love it. All of that is much that I can speak to. I do help in our company, and I, in particular, help all of those physicians in that conversion process. And there's a lot of decision making. There's a lot that goes into that. When a physician who's been practicing, maybe with a panel of 2,000 or 3,000 patients for years, says, "This is not sustainable. I'm burnout. I'm suffering." And if I, as a physician, am suffering and struggling, then my patients do. Everybody loses out. So in that conversion process, transition to becoming a concierge doctor is a really key time. And once we help them as an organization get over what I call the fear factor, there's a lot of fear in creating, and that's human nature. These scenarios about what it's going to be like when they make the switch to the concierge model. So the fear and the guilt and some of those barriers that go into it. And once they make the decision, it's kind of smooth sailing. Honestly, we have best practices in place. And I love hearing from our physicians just how much easier that transition is than what they thought. Sure. So that's a key aspect of it. And then and I love that you were at the conference with me recently. That was fun. And you heard from at least 5 of our physicians, right? And their different stories and their journeys. And that is very consistent among all of them, that they're not burned out. And in the past, all of them were. In fact, I help the physicians in this area of kind of their own personal health, regaining their own health and having a glow up. We have several examples of that. No, that's not an aspect of what we do that can be understated. That's really, has this ripple effect on everybody. So when the practitioners that we work with, all of our providers, i.e. our doctors, become healthier themselves in their practice, everyone benefits.
Absolutely. What a beautiful point to make. I'm married into an all MD family. And as I think through all the doctors, there's only 3 or 4 of us total out of 50 who are non-physicians in the close family. The close family, like if it's Christmas, we're together. If it's Diwali, we're together. The close family adds up to 50 when you include the children. The docs get run down. They get tired. They work late. They operate early. Their staffs are only getting bigger, trying to fight with insurance just to get paid a quarter of what they deserve or less compared to what they used to make on the same procedures and the same work they did just 5-10 years ago. So it's such a beautiful thing you just said. You said not only are we, helping them in their practice and the way their practice runs, but we're helping them get healthier. And even I myself, as Shivani, sometimes think, wow, you're going to build the most incredible health company. You better not sacrifice your health along the way. It's easy to do. In this day and age, there's 50 conferences I could go to this year to meet everyone amazing and grow my business. Or I could be really manageable with it and say, okay, I'm picking my top 10. And even 10 is a lot. To travel 10 times, the impact on the body, impact on the health, the level of out of routine we get, and all the factors of travel that irritate all of us in the health and wellness space. I hear everyone complain about it. Like the hotel room was moldy and can't get clean food on the road. So it's interesting, the doctor glow up. I love that. It's like, how do we help the doctor become a rejuvenated, whole, healthy person who's so passionate about health because they're winning at it too, that then they're guiding us better and guiding the patient better. So thank you for that. I love that reminder and that you're doing that. And then I remember at the New York conference we were both at, there was a session on health coaching that we both attended. And the first thing that the speaker said was, have you noticed that when a functional medicine doc, concierge medicine doc, any doctor refers to health coaching, the health coach hears the truth, the fears, the doubts, the uncertainty. The client is 100 times more honest to the health coach than they are to the doctor. And I laughed so hard because I just had that experience. I'm in a program for HRT, for hormone replacement therapy. And when I talk to the doc, the owner of the practice, I'm like, absolutely, I'll totally do that. You connect me to the person who's actually managing, prescribing and everything. And I'm like, hey, can we back out of that? Can we try cream instead? I don't know about injecting that. So the truth comes out with the person who's kind of in the position of helping you and holding your hand on the path. And even I had that experience, which I thought was so funny. So will you kind of share with us what your experience has been around the power of bringing health coaching alongside our primary care or any type of concierge medicine or practitioner who's spending time on us and with us, and how that health coaching piece really helps enable transformative change and long-term results, because it's that opportunity to shift lifestyle, diet, and all the other pieces.
Right. All of the pillars of wellness, which I neglected to mention that our wellness program focuses on sleep, exercise, nutrition, and stress management. I was laughing as you were saying that because you and I had spoken about that, the value of the health coach and just the nature of that relationship, because some physicians really become that most, trusted. It's an intimate relationship with your physician because they know everything about you. But, and I'll throw that but in there, patients hold back and exactly to that point. And that's where the health coach comes in. And, they're not therapists. I'll set the record straight. However, they are like a therapist in that the patients, yourself, you open up. And that is the much more trusted relationship. It's hilarious. My team and I talk about this all the time. And then the collaboration comes in. We do talk, report back to the physicians. And sometimes the patient will say, please don't tell my doctor this. Isn't that hilarious? Or I'm too nervous to tell my doctor that. Can you do that for me? Isn't that incredible? Right?
Yeah.
They bridge the gap. And there's something about that, the nature of that doctor patient relationship that still, creates that a little, the distance and, it's not fear. What am I trying to say? We all get it though.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, I think we put our practitioners on a pedestal. In my case, sometimes they're my colleagues. So I'm like talking to you, but I want you to remember that I am Dr. Shivani and I know my stuff too. So I might not always say like this is the real problem, and you might not have the time in one given session to dig that little bit deeper to understand what is she really struggling with, and does she even know what she's struggling with?
but a good coach does and knows how to pull it out of you.
Exactly.
Not every physician, some are, and dietitians, I didn't mention this too, like a big part of my background and training was patient counseling.
Yeah.
We did so much focus on patient counseling and I always loved it and I took to that. And so that's as far as the health coaching goes. It was a natural segue. I didn't mention that. And, the greater, more global focus on all of the pillars of wellness and wellness in general, because I'm much more of a generalist. And the coaches are too. They're very adept at handling questions and areas of, behavior change in, let's say they are on a call with somebody who really struggles with sleep for various reasons and may have some addictions going on in their life. And then the next one, it's just somebody who's perimenopausal and gained weight because they've been sedentary since the pandemic. It's like you never know what's coming at you. And the health coaches, they're such people persons.
Right.
Right. And they're behavior change experts and they're counselors and they are healthcare practitioners. And so it's truly an emerging area of healthcare that is getting the recognition that it needs. It's not so long since, board certified health coaches have been around and the board certification has existed. So I'm proud to say that my first health coach that I hired for our team was in that first group of board certification.
Nice. So
Yeah.
let's dig into that for a second. But when it comes to behavior change, I know in the past I have worked, I'm lucky that my supplement company is carried and recommended by doctors, practitioners, integrative practitioners, like you name a type of practitioner. I've met pretty much, I think, all of them and gotten is not the right word. I've had this opportunity to listen to and absorb and understand what everyone does and how, and kind of assimilate for myself what that means. So behavior change out of health coaching is very powerful. I do think that over the years, health coaching should be approved and supported by insurance like acupuncture is, because it's another modality that's there to help you on the path to lifestyle change and behavior change. Let's not underestimate what you're saying. What you're saying is, Shivani, when you're told, and because I just got a ton of data on myself, and I learned last night my food intolerances, and I was like, okay, thank God I'm a healthcare practitioner and I have a ton of discipline and passion around the topic. So I will figure this one out. But in the past, when I have gotten a lot of data on myself, like you need to change all these 10 things, I have worked with a health coach. And an example, my friend Dylan locally, he's a health coach. When he sat down with me, he goes, Shivani, we have to figure out how to get you to shift your mindset around food. It's not actually what you eat. You know perfectly what to eat. You do this for people all day. Let's dig deeper and understand why you're not doing or willing to do what you know you should do. And I was like, okay, well, just, I grew up in the 80s and fat is bad. And he goes, okay. And what do you believe about it now? I said, I know fat is good, but I can't marry those two thoughts. I can't meet in the middle. And so we did some coaching around it. And he's like, look, you test for me what it feels like if you eat healthy fat as your afternoon snack. What does that do for you going into the evening? But it was a coaching process. It was an unfoldment around thoughts, mindset, and behavior change. And I think one big reason people don't ever hire health coaches, I see it around me, people are like, well, I know what to do. I just need to do it. And I'm
I know what I should be doing. You even said it, right?
Yeah,
That's so.
I know what I should be doing.
And then they feel guilty when they're not doing it.
Exactly.
But that what you should be doing may be incorrect.
Right.
So
it's what you believe you should be doing.
Exactly.
So
And there's
will you kind of speak into that? Because I think
Yeah.
that's the biggest reason why people don't hire health coaches.
I think you're right. That's a barrier. It's a huge barrier. And we have these beliefs, convictions, and they're hard to change. And then you have true, deep rooted behaviors from childhood that, could be the root cause of a lot of problems in your present day life. And so digging deep, and it is a process. And then, how do you break down? Let's say you just received this list of all these foods that you have, intolerances you have, and it's extremely overwhelming. But really, what's going on in your life is that I'm making this up, maybe it's the time in my life, you've got teenage kids who are trying to get their college applications done, and you're, um, spread so thin that you don't have time to exercise and your sleep is impacted. How can you even think about that food list before you've tackled some of these other aspects of your life? And so that's where having a coach to just truly be able to offload, like, here's my life, help me, like I said, break it down into small bits that you can focus on changing. And then, or let's say it's more of this intellectual discussion of why I think that fat is bad, and how do I get this place where intellectually I know that good fats are very good and imperative for my health, right? So that's the cool role of the coach, is it's extremely personalized and non-prescriptive. And in that, it can also change from week to week and discussion to discussion based on where you are this week. And it does, right? I mean, we're human beings, it changes. But then you have to keep both kind of weekly and then longer term goals in mind. And I mentioned that word health span at the beginning. I truly believe that each and every one of us is seeking, it isn't necessarily longevity. Probably all of us want to live longer, but we want to live better. We want to feel good in our daily lives, and we want to thrive. I also love that you mentioned how you prioritize your personal health, because none of us are good without that. We're both busy moms. We're both working moms. You're running a business, building a business. How could you even do that if you did not prioritize in a very non-negotiable way, right? You have to be vigilant about your own health and your own habits. And some days we fail. Some days it's just simply hard. And I could talk clearly about this a very long time, Shivani, and you called it out. Why seek the help of a coach? Because as great as we are, or, amazing as we think we are, we all need support. We're human beings. And there are certain aspects of most of our lives that we just struggle with. And having ongoing support is probably the key to everything, to unlocking your potential. That's the power of the coach. Yeah.
It is. And oftentimes we have so many things we're juggling. I'm
Yeah.
juggling a lot at a given time. And in business, I've hired business coaches, business mentors, business consultants to help me grow. So in the 10 years of owning my company, it's not like I haven't gotten help. And I definitely needed it. I remember my first consultant was like, "What the heck are you doing?" I was like, "Well, I gave the product to everyone and then it's gone." And she goes, "And you don't have money for inventory." And I was like, "Yeah, but I thought that's what you do with supplements. You just give them to everyone." She goes, "You are never giving a bottle away again." And so I've been retrained by my team. Shivani's not allowed to give away product because I love giving it to him. I'm like, "Oh, you have a cough? Just take turmeric. You have this? Just take turmeric." That's my attitude towards it. But each one taught me something. And so why is it that we assume with our health that we don't need guidance and support as we go? Because you highlighted something key. Sometimes it's our childhood behaviors and those messages we were taught. And I think about that a lot. I come from a family of diabetics. Grandparent level, all diabetics. The end stages of that look really bad. My parent generation, all diabetic. So guess what they taught me? What they did to become diabetic. So guess what habits I have? When I see a plate, I eat it. That's how I was raised. You don't leave food on the plate, you don't waste. And so a lot of these things that we do and think, even in my home, I cook fresh Indian food. That's a pretty high carb, high glycemic meal. If I am not watching it and planning vigilantly for my protein and paying attention to what I'm doing. And so it's so beautiful that you highlighted that, because sometimes we won't see that and we won't know the reasons and the underlying reasons that we are causing the very diseases that we want to avoid. And so I love that you highlighted the 4 pillars, and I know that your health coaching practice is called Sense Wellness. So will you highlight those again? Because it's not just food. Health coaching is a very multidimensional, multi-level approach of guidance towards our health. Hi, I'm Dr. Shivani Gupta, and I created Fusionary Formulas because I believe everyone deserves a natural way to support their body's health. If you struggle with joint discomfort or stiffness, our turmeric gold delivers powerful curcumin in a form your body can truly absorb. It's science-backed with the highest quality ingredients and designed to support your body's natural inflammatory response. Take the next step in your health and wellness journey today. Visit fusionaryformulas.com and use code FusionaryHealth for 15% off. Fusionary Formulas, ancient wisdom, modern science, maximum impact.
Thank you. Absolutely. Happy to reiterate and restate multiple times. It's sleep, exercise, nutrition, and stress management, the 4 pillars that we focus on. Clearly now we hear about the blue zones and other aspects. This is, out there. And if anybody's tuned into wellness, which we all are, it's a $2 trillion industry in this country, which is interesting. So people are spending on wellness of all kinds. That aside, so breaking it down to those 4 pillars really makes sense. Social connections matter, life purpose matters, faith, there are other aspects to it as well. But those are the actionable lifestyle habits. And that's why we focus on those, because they do impact everything. I often focus on sleep first, the sleep and the stress management. I call the nutrition and the exercise the lower hanging fruit, and they're so actionable, but they're not happening if you haven't slept well. And they're not happening, right, if you're extremely stressed out and don't know how to manage the overwhelm and, the responsibility upon responsibility that's just piling up on you. A lot of people struggle with time management alone. And so what goes out the window? Cooking a healthy meal and exercising, because they simply can't manage their stress.
Sure.
Right. So those 4 pillars, like, again, it's, there's multiple ways to frame it as far as the wellness pillars and prioritizing, but I hope listeners, take that to heart, that we don't have to overcomplicate things. Get your sleep right and, learn how to manage your stress, and then your diet and exercise will just become easier. Even you can implement what you're talking about with your coach.
True. No, it's very true. And so when you talk about board certified health coaches, will you illuminate that a little bit?
Sure. So thankfully now, in this world of other, types of coaches, there are life coaches, there are nutritionists, there's dietitians. Consumers get confused on who is the professional that I need to reach to. And that's very important to us at our company. Standards matter, credentials matter. Okay. And so if you do a coaching training program, until you've sat for the board exam, you can't call yourself a board certified health and wellness coach. Mm-hmm. And because those standards are important to me and just the nature of our clientele, of our concierge members, I prioritize hiring coaches that have some clinical background. They have worked with physicians in the past and they understand it's important to come from that background when you're working with physicians and patients, and that they've also sat for this board examination. And it's from the Medical Examiners Board. It's, a national recognition. There are other types of coaching programs that are coming about, and not to, discount those at all. It's just that for our concierge medicine model, this is the type of, standard I set for the coaches and, what they're doing. This is included in our concierge program. The coaches are not run. It's not a separate business. We're not billing for the health coaching. And so it's a little bit different. It's truly in collaboration with the concierge physician. Okay. So it's included in our offering. It's very unique.
It is very unique. So what you're saying is the 70 concierge docs you work with, all health coaching to their patient base of concierge members is free.
Yeah, essentially.
That's great. Because
I know.
why wouldn't they take advantage of it then? You take away the barrier.
You just hit the nail on the head, Shivani. And not everybody needs it or wants it. Some people seek health and wellness information in different ways. They're out there spending clearly, and simply by paying for the concierge medicine physician, in my opinion, they're really vested in their health, typically, right? And then to have more of the personalized and preventative approach, that's what we bring to the table. And unfortunately, not everybody thinks that way. That's okay. They're still treating, waiting till they get sick and then treating it. But for those who want to very proactively manage their health and are thinking long term, I had one of our members recently tell me, we were having a conversation, and I noticed that he's not in health coaching, but he's very engaged in the other events that I do, webinar events, which you're doing one for our members, and I'm thrilled about.
Yeah.
So, I bring interesting topics, and Ayurveda is one area. So in any case, I was talking with him about how engaged he is in my webinars, and he's like a sponge for health and wellness information. And then he applies it himself, and he loves data. So that's what got us started talking about tracking his own data. This man is 70 years old, and he says, Susan, I want to live to 150. I was like, well, you go, Mark.
Yeah.
I'm going to do whatever I can in conjunction with your physician to support that. And even if it's, simply by steering you towards new health and wellness information, or motivating you and inspiring you with some of the content that I put out there. I mean, that makes all the work that I do worthwhile.
Absolutely. And so do you have some stories around health coaching clients within the space that you've worked with that have seen that profound transformational change? Because sometimes people are hiring concierge medicine. I'm here in South Florida, so I've met tons of great concierge medicine docs, tons of great functional medicine docs. Sometimes you can get both in one. But oftentimes patients need time. And so I'll give my mom as an example. I think at different times my mom has had a concierge medicine doc, and I told her, you need someone who spends time with you. You're turning 70. You've got this diabetes, insulin dependent for 40 years now. That needs time, because when issues crop up, they're not like a 5-minute conversation and you waited a month to get that 5-minute appointment. And so are you typically seeing clients where it's advanced stages of disease, that's why they're showing up to concierge medicine, and thus really kind of easing them into health coaching is pretty powerful because you're starting at the base when it comes to lifestyle change? Or are you seeing this movement also towards a younger generation coming in saying, I need support. I need it on my schedule. I know that I'm at the New York docs. They're like, people need to get in when they need to get in. They need to be seen in a timely manner, and it needs to work with their schedule. Like, that's a part of why they've been hired, is to guide in the schedule. And then you're talking to a different person, like you said, someone who wants to optimize over someone who needs that ground level support. So do you have any stories about like special clients who've had profound transformations?
I do. I love that. I'm thinking in so many ways. Everything you're saying is so relevant, and it's all of that. We've got the younger members, absolutely, who are vested in their health and are maybe 35 or 40 now. And they're saying, look, I'm just starting a family. I'm investing in my future. I want to be around. They get it. And so they're very proactive and preventative. And then we have the others who are with their concierge physician because the doctors, this traditional model is your doctor is treating and quarterbacking other care and, connecting you to other specialists and that. So there's both. There's the treating and managing existing, whether it's acute or chronic disease. And there's a ton of that, of course. So examples that I have, cases, I've helped people with sugar, and I know all my team of coaches too, with sugar addiction, as you're talking about diabetes. But I had somebody, and he was in a pre-diabetic state, so his pre-diabetes, and he came to me not just because he had pre-diabetes, he was annoyed by it. This is an engineering brain, and he's like, I can do this. Like, I don't know what's wrong. but he really loved his sugar and he had inflammatory issues as a result. And so that was really what sought him to the health coaching. And we had ongoing discussions, and it took well over a year, and keeping his food diary and talking about it and what we could replace his sugar with, because this is somebody who had sugar. We're talking candies, desserts, things like that multiple times a day, didn't understand why it was so bad. And now he's literally a whole new person. And he reached out to me recently and said, I'm still on that path. Thank you so much. And now my wife needs help. And when we first spoke, his wife was in a healthy place, but then she developed some sort of chronic issue and now needed some help. So that's one of my favorites. And it took a long time, and I loved our weekly discussions. And it was this more of, meeting him on an intellectual level, and we're going to discuss and really talk about, what it is doing in your body, all the sugar. And, I'm not just telling you what to do. And that's not the nature of coaching. As a dietitian and a coach and all that, we don't tell people what to do. We educate them. We support them. We hold them accountable. When they say, I'm ready, I do want to make that change, I understand. And there are certain things that I need to do to get there, right? To reduce my A1C, to get out of a pre-diabetic state, let alone. And so, but for others, if they have advanced disease and they really need help managing it, I have a wonderful example of this gentleman. He was obese, and this was not my member that I coached. One of my health coaches did. And he is, I want to believe, 79, late 70s, and truly obese, never exercised in his life. Through the health coaching, he had uncontrolled hypertension. So his blood pressure was all over the place, and some cardiovascular illness, disease, progressed disease, as well as just, aches and pains. And he wasn't moving at all. He literally gets his 10,000 steps a day, and he's dropped over 20 pounds, and
Wow.
he's in just a much healthier place.
Nice.
Right. Yeah, I love stories like that. I mean, we have honestly thousands of those. And I have, younger pregnant mom that I helped manage some issues during her pregnancy and then beyond. So it's just, it's very rewarding.
That's so cool. I mean, I think it's interesting. We assume we all know best, because if you are watching anything on social media, although our feeds are all different, I know that for a fact, because my whole feed is health, food recalls, how poisonous and toxic the world is. Like that's my feed. So definitely my feed knows what to use to attract me. But in general, right now, around health and wellness, we all know more steps, eat less carbs and sugar, eat more protein. There's all these different guidances. But what I find interesting is you don't know if that guidance is right for you.
For you.
And so making the shift to working with someone who can help you constantly remember, like, it's actually about you. It's not about what the internet says. The internet says carnivore works and vegan works. Like the extremes all work for different people. And I watch them and I'm like, I cannot wait to see if you hold that line of carnivore forever. And then you can see sometimes, not always, they'll turn around and say, actually, that didn't work. I did that and it was too extreme for me. For my gut, I had to change. And I'm like, thank you, Paul, for finally, for talking about, for being open and brave enough to actually say that what you were trying, which was extreme, didn't work, and opening up about that, right? But yeah, it's just so interesting that we assume we know best based on everything we see, but accountability, support, guidance, education from a trusted partner in health, separate from our close friends who could have all their own opinions. My best friends all think about health the opposite from me. I always hang out with them and I'm like, they're like, don't look at my Coca-Cola. Don't look at my whatever. I'm like, I'm not judging you.
Right. All the time. No.
I'm my friend. Oh. I wish I could be your health coach and shift some of these behaviors, but we're friends. So that's not where I'm going to win. Let's just be friends. But I love that. So is there anything else around health coaching and what you've done and built this to scale health coaching program to support this volume of doctors? Is there anything we haven't talked about that you wanted to talk about today?
Just a couple things, I guess. There's always more that comes to mind. From a coaching standpoint, you just mentioned a really, really key word, that judging. And, hearing your friends talk like that, that's a reflection of where they are and their kind of, I'll call it mindset, mentals. We, as humans, most of us do that. We judge ourselves. We don't judge our thoughts, but we judge ourselves nonstop. And so what I love to say and point out about health coaching is that it truly is non-judgmental, right? That's the place of a coach, is non-judgment. And similar, like you and I do yoga, and I take that from yoga too. It's no judgment is involved. So I wanted to just say that. And I had mentioned that it's non-judgmental, non-prescriptive. It's very personalized. And once somebody experiences that and you can like just, let all that other stuff go. And so that triggered that thought in my head, because I've worked with so many people over the years, helping them with exactly that. You know what? If you're binge eating at night, stop judging it, right? You can't get past it until you let go of that self-judgment. And so that's a key aspect of coaching. Another thing that I want to mention as far as what's unique to us and Castle Connolly, what we do and offer as part of the health coaching team is we are now partnered with a platform that we track certain metrics. So, biomarkers and data, like we have this, so you can aggregate some biomarkers that are non-clinical. You have the clinical side and all of your labs, and you get that. And then we pair that with these other markers of our health that really are related to, call it exercise. Just summarize it as exercise and even balance and mobility. And if we are tracking that in our members, and then the coach can follow up with somebody and help them do exercises that are going to improve their balance and stability, or their strength, or their cardiovascular health. Like, these are very specific areas that we know are directly tied to cognitive function as we age and overall health as we age. So it's really unique to us when I say how we pair both the medicine with the wellness. That integration of wellness and medicine is not done well. Like, we all talk about it, but we're able to do that. And that's been very exciting to me, that I get a chance to do that. And that's the type of program that we're offering to our concierge members. And we do it. We believe it. We're passionate about it.
That's really cool. I think having data and metrics on ourselves is a game changer, because it illuminates to you in a factual way what's happening. So anytime I use a CGM, I'm like, oh, okay. I learned a lot. Last time I had ice cream and on a CGM, 10 bites of ice cream, and my blood sugar went boom. And I was like, I am not eating ice cream again. But I had potatoes and nothing happened. And I was like, oh, potatoes don't have a glycemic index impact on me?
Right.
I'm going to eat potatoes then. I had given up potatoes. I had thought those are sugar. You're not allowed to have them. But guess what? On my CGM, I'm allowed a little potatoes in my life, which is a joyful food to me. It's a happy carby food that I had given up. And so I love that you'll track data, because it's beneficial on all sides. First of all, concierge medicine doc gets more data on the patient. Health coach gets a lot more data to support behavioral change. Patient gets to see all this data and metrics on themselves, which can sometimes instigate change faster. Like, when I've worked with people on their sleep, you track sleep, then you're willing to listen to me and all the things I want you to do. Otherwise, sometimes you're not willing to do all the homework I want you to do to optimize for sleep in a real profound way. So I love that. I love that you're being so data driven in your health coaching practice.
We have to be nowadays. And you are right on with all of that. You get it. It's like, I love that you get it 100%. And when a coach can actually look at somebody's, well, I keep mentioning Oura Ring because that's what I wear, but whether it's a Whoop, whether it's a Garmin, it doesn't matter. Sleep data is very, very telling. And the coaches can break that down for the person, because some people understand the data themselves and others do not. And so having that coach to say, oh, what does this even mean? What is my HRV? And what is, how do I improve my readiness score? One thing that's very important to see is when you're overdoing it.
Yeah.
So to exercise, some people really overdo it and they're killing themselves with cardio, but their body's saying, you know what? You're stressing me out. And you got high cortisol, and it will show in your HRV and your sleep readiness and even the, total sleep. So it's very, very, very helpful to have data and tracking it, is the way that you can make change. It's actionable, and seeing your personal data over time, I love it on myself. And, that's, an exciting part of what we do and the way that the world is going in medicine. So I believe in using technology in a very positive way. It helps connect us and, can really enhance and elevate the whole patient experience.
Nice. I love that. Well, beautiful, Susan. It's been so wonderful talking to you today. I always love meeting you. Just meeting you in life has been such an amazing experience. And I love that you're helping doctors approach their practice in a new way. As someone who works and has worked with thousands of doctors over the last decade, I'm really passionate about this person who loves and takes care of us, having the opportunity to practice in a way that feels good to them as well. And sometimes we have to hybridize what we do to achieve that. So I love the work that you're doing and the health coaching practice that you're scaling, because really what you're building is a model. This is a model that can then be applied to so many different types of practice. And you're collecting the data to show the outcomes, which to me will be really exciting to see as well.
Exactly.
So yeah, will you share where everyone can find you and learn more about what you do?
Absolutely. So you can find me at Castle Connolly Private Health Partners. So our website is www.ccphp.net, and the SENS specifically is sens.ccphp.net. Okay, so we've got the SENS solution within Castle Connolly Private Health Partners. I'm Susan Greeley. I also have my own website. And before I neglect to mention, I do a podcast as well. I was thrilled to have you as a guest recently, and that is called A Sense of Wellness, and it's out there on all platforms where you listen to podcasts. So I love when, as I say, people listen in and leave inspired. And thank you, Shivani, for having me. It's truly a delight, a pleasure, all of that, but in general, just fun. And you and I have much to do still to keep improving people's health.
Absolutely. It's so great to chat with you today. Everyone who listened to the podcast, check out Susan Greeley. She is changing the world. And I'm so excited to see great women doing great things. Like, that really excites me. So thank you for listening into this episode today. Definitely like, subscribe, comment below on this video or on this audio. And to learn more about the Fusionary Health Podcast and me, you can visit shivanigupta.com. And I'll see you next week for the next episode of the podcast. Have a beautiful day, everyone.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks for joining me for this episode. Check out our sponsor, Fusionary Formulas, the potent turmeric supplement used by doctors around the U.S. for patients with pain and inflammation. www.fusionaryformulas.com. I'm your host, Dr. Shivani Gupta. For more, visit shivanigupta.com. Subscribe to this podcast in Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Click the follow button or subscribe in any of the apps that you use. That's all I've got for you on the Fusionary Health Podcast this week. You have the power to transform your health and achieve vibrant health starting today.